Push the button.
Hi, everybody!
Hello.
Wow, the glare in the kitchen. Hang on, let me turn off that light.
Welcome to J.J. Abrams' kitchen.
Yeah, no, seriously, there's a whole lot of lens flare going on there. So we're trying this on just the laptop because I threw this together very quickly, and we didn't want to futz around with trying to get the cameras connected as well. So this is very much an improv sort of thing, but this is also like a 3-day sort of thing. So if this doesn't work really as well as we would like, then we will consider putting the webcams in here sometime as well.
Welcome to our kitchen.
Yes, welcome to our kitchen. It's clean right now. Whee! Whee! I'm going very slowly. I don't want to make anybody ill. You are currently sitting on the kitchen island.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons why we picked this apartment, is because it had a kitchen island, and we both cook a lot. Yes, Chungus is
And he's doing very
in
very
rude
well.
health, as you can see. So what I do is every time I feed him, the label is the top of the line where he's been fed, and so everything above that is
Chungus.
him rising and falling, which is good. So as you can tell, he is very chunky and happy and growing right now. He got fed at about 5:30-ish, and so he will sit and do his thing overnight, and then tomorrow, his children will be called to make our bread and such. So I will put him over
When you
there.
say it that way, it sounds both metal as hell and also surprisingly accurate.
Well, it's also a little, rude, but I'm just trying to get all of my stuff over here. So Alistair's going to join us for a little bit, and then he's going to take off and go do some stuff and probably shout from the other room.
Am I?
Are you going to join me the whole time?
Probably.
Huh?
I don't. We'll see how we go.
Get a chair, because otherwise we're going to be sitting here like candid coffee talk for hours and hours and hours. Exactly. So what am I doing? I am making a super, super, super duper extra birthday cake.
You know what we need?
What?
We need a book.
A book. Yes, no music, but a book.
No.
Ooh, the chat seems to have stalled. No. Everything looks good. I'm sorry. I'm not used to doing this on just the laptop, so I'm making sure I can see everything I need to see. This is Christina Tosi. Let me move my hands. I'm not very good at being Vanna. This is Christina Tosi's cookbook from Milk Bar, Momofuku's Milk Bar in New York. This is where we were hoping to go for our vacation this year. We were going to go to the US instead of going to New Zealand because New Zealand was too expensive, and because we have friends and family there. But that didn't work. So I am making a recipe that is from Christina Tosi, but is not in this book. And it is called Arnold Palmer cake. And I will put a link to the recipe I'm about to use in the chat. Watch me do this live. This will be embarrassing. So, Arnold Palmer is the U.S. nickname for a beverage, which is... Where is my... new keyboard. That's the recipe. Arnold Palmer is the nickname in the U.S. for a beverage which is half unsweetened iced tea, half lemonade. So Arnold Palmer, the combination is lemonade and tea. And this is a cake which, one, is epic. It is over the top. It involves... Hang on. Let me grab my recipe.
There's so many screens
There's
in this
so many
kitchen right
different
now.
layers to it. So the cake involves a bunch of different components. It involves a lemon tea cake or sponge, to use the British vocabulary.
Sponge.
It involves what's called a soak. So it is a liquid that you soak the cake in to give it extra flavor. It's made from bitter tea. That bitter tea soak is then codified into a jelly, which makes up one of the layers. It is a bitter tea jelly. Lemon mascarpone as one of the filling layers, and then an almond tea crunch, which is this combination of like almond butter and destroyed crepe pieces and sugar, which gives it like a textural component. And then because that wasn't enough, and because when the cake is assembled, it doesn't have any decoration on it, it's stacked up in some of the cool stuff that I had to buy for this. So you buy a cake ring. So let me open this up and I'll show you what you do. This is kind of like a cake punch. Think of it like a gigantic hole punch for a cake. And this one is variable in size See, it has these little sliders on it, and what you do is you make it bigger or smaller, depending on the size of the cake you want.
It's like a Stargate for the cake,
basically. It's not a cake, Stargate. There are no chevrons. I'm sorry. So this is a 6-inch cake mold. This is the size of the final cake that I'm going to make. This size. Because there's 2 of us. And this sucker's going to be bigger than the mold is. So what you do is you get this cool stuff. This is baking acetate. It's basically plastic that you will line the inside of the cake ring with so that the cake can be taller than the ring. So it'll be this big, 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 tall, unfinished on the outside, but 6 inches across, which is 15 centimeters.
This is officially a large boy cake.
Yeah, no, he's a small boy cake, and that's the point. Is because the 2 of us have to eat it. I can't even share it with anybody, so it has to be a small cake. So the recipe calls for 6 inches and serves 6. So it'll serve us quite happily for the weekend. That's the thing. But anyway, since the sides of it aren't decorated and the top of it isn't decorated, I'm also going to make candied lemon peel to go on the top. So today, this is a 3-day process.
Day 1.
This is day 1. Day 1 is going to be, hang on, let me check my itinerary, because that's the kind of person I am. Today we're going to make...
The planning for this has been magnificent.
I've spent like a week doing this and ordering all the special parts. And it's
great.
Silly and amazing. And I've always wanted a cooking show, and so here we are. We're going to make the bitter tea soak, and part of that's going to get turned into the jelly because that has to refrigerate overnight. So we're going to do that today. God, I look like Michael Bay produced this. It's because of we've got an overhead spotlight and it's very, very bright from where we're positioned. Whee! Okay, we're gonna do that. We're gonna put together the lemon mascarpone, which is basically a curd, and then I'm gonna candy the lemon peels because those also have to refrigerate overnight and dry overnight. And then tomorrow we will actually bake the cake itself. It has to cool. We'll make the crunch. And then we'll assemble all the layers, and it has to be frozen overnight.
My understanding is American jelly.
Yeah, American jelly.
As in the lemon, the tea jelly. Is it set or is
So it's going to be
Jello. Basically, it's tea Jello.
It's tea Jello.
Okay.
Tea. Yeah. Okay. So
also,
jelly.
My rap Continue.
Jelly in the U.S. is the kind of the generic term for anything that has had any liquid that has had a gelatin added to it that thickens. Here in the U.K., a jelly is specifically Jello. It is liquid, or because in the U.S. when you say jelly, it is jam. With the seeds removed, which is made from juice, not from pulp. So this is bitter tea that is sugar and gelatin is added to and then made into a jellied state overnight, which I've got no idea how you're supposed to spread because it's probably going to be like really difficult. This will be fun.
Raw Jello cubes were the other thing I often chose as a snack as a very small child, along with dry white bread.
Raw
like fruit jelly, where it would come in like a block, like a bar of chocolate.
That you're supposed to add to water to mix it? Oh my.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Zalia says she expects us to walk away dramatically from explosions.
Cool
because
guys,
don't look at explosions. Okay, if you have not seen, it's called My Spy?
My Spy.
Watch My Spy. What's it on?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. Dave Bautista and a fantastic little actress whose name escapes me. Where what's the line? He's
a pro.
She's a natural. So he has to team up with this 9-year-old kid to do espionage.
Because he's a spy. He's Dave Bautista.
And one of the things he teaches her how to do is the cool walk away from explosions. So he puts a bunch of fireworks on the ground and lets her walk away from them. And she always turns backward and he like turns her head. It's so cute. It's an adorable movie. It's definitely worth it. Okay, I've got questions in the chat, which we're going to catch up on. Can punch the Jello into shape? I don't know.
That is actually a very good idea.
It'll be interesting to see how firmly it sets. Because if it's soft, like the jalapeno jelly we make, it should be pretty pourable.
Do we have that
spreadable.
in the fridge?
Jalapeno jelly, yeah. Okay, hold
on. Brick Chums, this is jalapeno jelly.
Yeah. So this is a common thing in the U.S. see how it's kind of almost, I'm going to try really hard not to pour it on my laptop. Here, spoon. It's really clear, but viscous, but not set, but see? It's kind of what I would call a soft set jelly consistency, and it has chunks of peppers in it. And it is the best thing to happen to a cheese sandwich in the world. Yeah, this is really
that
good.
being very close to my face is making me very happy right now.
That's really tasty. Anyway, so yeah, it should be. I'm thinking it's gonna be pretty soft set like this stuff, but we'll find out.
See, that's really weird because I kind of assumed it would be super rigid.
I don't know.
And you could just like punch out a circle of it.
Might be able to. I should think about that when I put it.
We are doing food science. This is very exciting.
We're just vamping here. This is food science. So what I'm doing today is the bitter tea soak, turning some of it into jelly, candying the lemon peel, and making the lemon mascarpone.
Cool. Where do you need me?
I'm going to catch up on the chat and see if I missed anything. I love jalapeno jelly. I have a great recipe. I will share it with you later. It's really good. Marguerite's Food Corner. Cool the tea jelly on a tray. It might be cuttable.
That's a good idea.
I'm not
That's
sure
really
because the amount of liquid that is called for in the recipe. Let me pivot to the recipe here for a second. This was one of the issues I had, actually. So you make the bitter tea soak with 2 1/4 cups. Now, I got to warn you, all of these measurements are in US measurements. So when they say cup, they don't mean grab something out of your kitchen. Oh, yeah. Hey, this is a good thing. We have one of these. It's a nice little equivalent measure of milliliters, fluid ounces. It doesn't actually do cup measurements.
I thought one of them did.
Well, it does. So in the US, we use these. These are measuring cups. This is a 1 cup. It is a volumetric measure. It is not a weight-based measure like a milliliter is. So I'm going to be using US measurements for all of this because that's what I have. When I know how to translate them, I will translate them for you. For example, this is 8 fluid ounces. A cup tends to be 8 fluid ounces. Let me grab, because I'm going to use this one for the tea soak anyway. Let's see.
Do you want me to start grabbing lists of queries to follow up on after this?
I would love that if you have the time.
I'm on it.
So this is my Pyrex measurement cup, and you can't see what it says on there, but it has both pints, ounces, and milliliters. So I will do my best to translate for things as we are going along. Before I got measuring cups, I would use just any old mug as a cup. I'm with you. And in cooking, that's fine. In baking, where you're worried about science, and more importantly, you're worried about ratios of things, I try to be very precise.
Okay, so
Where are my measuring spoons?
last time I saw them, they were in there. They might do the
Dishwasher?
yeah.
Okay. Cool. This is going to be real fun. We're just going to kind of kick around the kitchen and put this together. So the first thing I'm going to start with is I'm actually going to start with the candied lemon peel because I found 2 different recipes for it, but the concept is basically the same. You take lemons and you peel out the outer rind, and then you're going to boil them in a simple syrup, a sugar solution, until they cook. And then you let them dry and toss them in sugar so they don't stick. But one of the 3 recipes I found recommends that you actually boil them in water a couple of times without sugar so that they aren't as bitter. And you have to do that 2 or 3 times. So I'm going to start with that first because it's going to take a little bit of time.
All right.
So,
Folks, I'm going to be harvesting queries as we go. So far, I have, I think we can maybe use a jalapeno jelly recipe.
yeah, cool.
And also the equivalencies for cup measurements. If you've got any others, please drop them in the chat. We will harvest them periodically. If we miss any, please let us know. And we'll just put them on Twitter.
That sounds good. So, ooh, this is dirty. I'm going to wash that up really quick. And hopefully you can still read the chat while I do this. This is fun. I've never done this before. It's just I'm trying to let people be able to see the, when we get cups in at any time, I get the R2-D2 one. R2-D2 cups. Ooh, those sound good.
You're not being harvested, Silver.
Your questions are being harvested.
Not in any way you'll remember.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. I bet you could could do this with lime if you really wanted to. Like an Arnold Palmer with limes instead of lemons. I've never tried it, so there we go. Hi folks who are joining. So we're talking about the cake that I'm making, and I'm going to get started on it.
Where would you like me?
You're doing just fine. Don't get under. Yeah, you're fine right there. How about that? Oh, I should probably show you this. To be simpler to destroy everything and try a new start. This is Dworkin from Roger Selesny's Amber books, which is a long time ago, were some of my favorite books, and I haven't had a chance to get a new apron since he has a new apron.
I do.
Show everybody your sexy new apron. Your sexy, dirty new apron.
I prefer to think of it as work.
It is very worked. I mean, it's canvas. It's designed to be worked. So, here we go. Hopefully you can see that without turning off the laptop. Here, what if I do it that way? A little easier. Ta-da! Cool. All right, cool. So, I'm going to peel... Calls for... This is fun. I'm going to have to flip it back and forth between like 9,000 recipes while I'm doing this. I'm just talking out loud. How's everybody's day going? How are you? This calls for 3 to 4 lemons. Okay. I like lemon peel, and if it doesn't go on the cake, I'll just eat it. She will too. I've seen her do it. Besides, I think the lemons themselves are going to get used because there's a lot of lemon juice called for in the rest of the recipes. So I'll just throw them in here. I don't actually need the cake mold and the thingies. Would you deal with them?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Okay, cool. So, lemons, peels. I'm going to try and do them in big, chunky strips so that I can then just kind of slice them up, which this lemon doesn't seem to want to participate in. Okay, it's going to have to be like sawed back and forth. That's cool. Normally I have a zester and I just grate this, but strips will look prettier, and the whole point of this is that they're pretty. So, here we go. For aesthetics. I'm not going to look at the chat while I'm using the peeler, because knowing me, I'll just cut myself.
Would you like me to?
Yeah.
Would you like me to open it on a separate screen so we don't have to move your camera?
Can you do that?
If only we had... Cow!
Your iPad. Yeah, sure. So we've never streamed from the kitchen before.
Exciting times.
This is all a new experience. It's looking pretty good, actually. So that's what it looks like when it's done. I've made it naked. And we have all these strips of lemon that are left over. And then they're going to get turned into basically candy. Oh, knows. So. But the recipe, oh yeah, see, this lemon is a little firmer. It works a little better. Maybe that one's a little old. That's fine. So tasty. Ooh, yeah, juicy. Watch your eyes. So this recipe says you should boil it in cold water like 2 or 3 times to stop them from being bitter. I'll try it once or twice and see what I think.
Freshly peeled sheeps. Yes.
Freshly peeled sheeps?
Yes. Don't worry, the chat's doing fine.
Okay, good. Glad to see that. So today is kind of we're supposed to take a 4-day weekend this weekend, Thursday through Monday for my birthday. And because we're workaholics and because we're working on...
July is a cursed month.
Exactly, and we're working on too many things at once again. It's probably going to be 3-day weekend.
Maybe 2.5.
Yeah, which is why I'm starting this at 8 o'clock at night, because I just didn't have time the rest of the day. I was working on so much other stuff.
We're all cursed in here. Yes, we are, but we're all so lovely.
We are all lovely. So, this is the pot I'm gonna put the melon in.
Vegan baking is very, very eccentric. If I remember correctly, your amazing chocolate cake recipe is at least notionally vegan.
Yeah,
isn't it?
so my family has kind of the traditional chocolate cake recipe in my family for birthday cakes is a vegan cake. It's a sponge.
Bye, Boop. Thank you.
Oh, we have somebody taking off?
Yeah, Boop Flute's heading out.
Yeah, no worries. Have fun. I think they're off to another stream. Say hi for us. Our family's traditional chocolate cake recipe is vegan. It's a sponge made... Ooh, I don't like that a little bit. Made with vegetable oil, basically, with oil. And it relies on baking soda and vinegar to kind of oxidize the chocolate, which is good. Right, so... Excuse me while I throw everything on the laptop. pot full of the peels. I'm not going to slice them up right now because I'm worried they're going to be too delicate. So
I think those are going to be fine as is, huh?
yeah, it says just to cover them with water and bring them to a boil and then drop out the water and do it again. So let's do that a couple times and see what it's like. You might have to go close the window in a minute. It's a little noisy. Cool. So what else can I do while that's happening?
Well, that's so weird. I can see my own hands on the stream from 15 seconds ago.
Really?
Yes, that's great.
Okay, awesome.
We'll both windows closed.
I think so, because it tends to get a little noisy in here in the afternoons. So the lemon peel is going to boil and do its thing, and in the meantime, I'm going to switch recipes, and I'm going to make that bitter tea soak, because I think it's literally just making super, super, super strong tea. Yeah, so the bitter tea soak and tea jelly, it calls for 2 1/4 cups of water. Plant a flag on that because I'm suspicious. 8 bags of Lipton black tea. Okay, now every Brit in the chat just shuddered. I know.
Lipton's actually kind of legit.
I went and got a box of Lipton black tea. Old school. So we'll be using this. A cup and 3/4 of sugar, a 1/4 cup of instant Lipton unsweetened iced tea powder. So, welcome to one of Marguerite's naughty vices. I love iced tea. It's what I grew up on. And this crappy chemical-filled stuff is one of my absolute comforts. This is the sweetened variety with sugar, but I couldn't get the unsweetened variety. And I didn't want to take a risk of using tea powder from somebody like PG Tips with a Lipton tea bag. So we're going to use this and maybe cut the sugar back in the jelly as a result, but maybe not. I haven't decided yet. It may just be super sweet jelly. Oh, well, we'll live.
Oh, no. It will be.
Exactly. And then we need pectin, which I bought the powdered variety. And lemon juice, which we've got a lot of. Do you want to do that for me?
What am I doing?
I need a lot of lemon juice over the course of today. Would you
destroy some lemons for you? I would
do them up?
I will do them up, Delta.
You can tell how hard working this piece of equipment is because this is enameled cast iron and all the enamel's starting to fall off of it. This is one of those awesome citrus squishers where it turns the thing out inside out. Which is fun. So I'll cut those in half for you. Do them over a strainer just in case there's any seeds.
Happy to.
And I will cut the lemons in half for you. Do you need a towel or anything, or do you think?
I think that'll be fine. Okay. Lemon Demon Alistair.
Yes. Lemon Demon.
Yes.
I think we will get the web camera next time because the camera quality doesn't seem as good.
All this is learning. All
is
learning how to do
Science. Cooking science. All right, fine. You can juice them of their vital essences.
I will juice them. I juice them.
Yeah, this is almost coming up to a boil already.
Am I clear to use this bowl for the offcuts?
We should get a trash bowl going. That's a good idea. We'll just use this. Use Chungus's old home.
Chungus's former condo.
Yeah, exactly. So this is already boiled. Just come up to a boil really fast. So it said the recipe says I'm supposed to just drain this off and then do it again. Woo! All the utensils. Okay, so there was once. Cover it with cold water. Do it again. Alright, fine. Back to it.
F for the lemons.
F for the lemons. Shall we show everybody what you're doing? Disembodied my recipe. Your disembodied hands. So he's just squishing them out. Yeah, exactly. And I'm having him do it over a strainer just in case any of the seeds or anything escape. Yeah, that is an induction cooktop.
It's the cooktop we have.
Honestly, I don't like it. I'd really prefer gas because you have
Sorry.
Flying lemon juice. Ah!
It's fine.
I prefer gas cooktops because you have more control over granularity, and because I am an old school cast iron fan, and cast iron doesn't do very well with induction, especially if you have like a griddle pan that has a rise to it and it doesn't lie flat against the surface of the induction. Oh yeah, cool. There we go. Yeah. Plus, you can't char a grilled pepper on an induction hob, or corn or anything like that. So yeah, I miss gas stoves. There we go. Yeah, exactly. The electric ones. They're nice from the perspective of they're much easier to keep clean, and they're of less risk to small ones who reach up and grab. But as far as like I do not have those concerns. I miss gas. Okay, so that's lemon juice.
Do you want to use this as the rubbish container?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
That's the plan. So let's make the bitter tea soak. So when we move on to making the bitter tea jelly, it calls for 3 cups of the bitter tea soak. But it only has me put 2 1/4 cups of water into it. So I'm going to make a double batch, which means I need you to unpeel me 16 black tea bags.
Define unpeel. Do you mean like unpick?
Shall we take a look?
Let's do this.
Radio. So, Lipton tea bags, at least should. If they're not, I'm gonna be giving it some stink eye.
That's legal stink eye, folks. That's serious business.
Exactly. No, it looks like it's done correctly. Keep it in there. Yep. Oh, they're not individually wrapped. Naughty. So they
maximum toutage, Lipton's. Maximum toutage.
Come out like this. They have what's called flow-through technology. How do I know this? Because I made tea bags as a wedding favor for someone once, and we made hundreds of them, and it took forever because she wanted to have flow-through technology. That looks obscene.
Oh my
I'm
God,
sorry, but yeah. So
was this your brother for?
No, it was an event with Wayne and Rebecca, actually.
All right.
So I need 16 of those slung over here. And what I recommend you do is you gather them all up by the tag, and then you can loop it around the handle so they don't get lost.
So you don't actually want the tea removed?
No.
You just want the jug
I just need
rigged.
16 of those. And
Copy
then
that.
I'm going to cheat and just put the kettle on.
All right.
That is the best thing about English kitchens, as far as I'm concerned, is the ubiquity of kettles. We don't have them in the U.S. I'm about to horrify the chat with what I'm about to say.
Is this the microwave conversation?
We make our tea in the microwave.
I actually thought that wasn't true, and then I saw her do it.
Yes, that is how Americans make tea. And we don't drink tea very often because we have coffee makers, which you don't have in this country. Okay, so our tea, that's the lemon peels boiling
We
for a
already
second
have
time.
one on the
Good,
chat.
I expect gasps of shock and horror.
Gads.
Right, so the lemon peels have boiled the second time. We're going for the third, and then we'll make their syrup.
These don't have to be pretty, right? Because I mostly just.
No, I just need you to make sure that they don't all fall in. And if you want to like get a binder clip or something and clip all the tags together, that's fine.
Yeah.
It won't be the end of the world if they fall in. We have to fish them out, but it'll be fine.
Do we have any of them?
In my desk drawer. Yeah, you know the little pink and purple ones?
We'll be fine. We'll make it look.
I just need you to count out
Still
16.
on the night.
Yeah, if I ever move back to the U.S., I'm not going without a kettle. That's for sure. I might even splurge and get one of those fancy gooseneck ones with the little teeny tiny pour handles, for totally over-the-top presentations.
That's a very good idea.
What's that?
Bunch them in 4s.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. We just need 16 of them because we're making a double batch of the soak. And I'm going to dig out a container because we're going to use some of it to make the jelly, and the rest of it we're going to keep to be the actual soak for the cake for tomorrow. So, let me grab something volumetrically. I think one of these?
That sounds about right.
Okay, so here's one of Marguerite's other things. I buy as much of my kitchen equipment as I can get away with from restaurant supply places. because I like pretty industrial grade cooking because I love to cook and I come from a large family. So it took me a long time to adapt to cooking for the two of us because I'm used to cooking for 8.
Could I possibly have a box of tea bags?
Yes. Do we have space? They're under my towels. There we go. These are the kind of containers you get good takeout in. You can buy them on Amazon in bulk, and they're what I use. They come in a bunch of different sizes, and that way everything in my fridge stacks, which is very convenient, and they all use the same size lid. Like the jalapeno jelly container I showed you earlier. Half size. Same size lid.
She really is that good, folks.
I'm particular. So I will put some of the bitter soak in that, and the rest of it we will hang on to for the jelly. So I'm just waiting for that to come up. Did the sound go a little crackly? It's probably the kettle causing some distortion right now. We good? We're almost at 16?
We're almost at 16.
Okay, cool. So I'm probably going to just measure it out. Because it says that the bitter tea soak needs to soak for 5 minutes. That's fine. Which is good. That's almost ready. Okay, so now the chat's going to pop the kettle on, which sounds good to me, to be honest. I'm going to have some water.
Some distortion, you say?
Yeah, okay.
You're not helping. I'm not trying to.
Exactly. I'm still behind. I'm still like 4 or 5 episodes in the hole. I'm actually very grateful for the break that they're about to take, because they're like, oh, whew, I can catch up. Thank goodness. Your microwave keeps killing the internet. Oh no! Did you blow a circuit? That doesn't sound good, Zoya. What happened? All right, here's the kettle. Okay. So, I'm going to take it from here, and I want you to get your hands clear because I don't want to burn you while I do this.
That's fine. I also have the rubbish thing on standby.
Cool.
These are the remaining 4.
That's
My
fine.
advice would be just to dunk them, honestly.
It'll be fine.
Here we go, folks.
Can you kind of sort of see? Let me move it this way. All right. So we're making a double batch. So this calls for 4.5 cups. This is a cup. 1. I know this seems like a really weird way to make tea, but we are. 2. That should all fit in here, I hope. 3. My lemon peels are boiling. I can hear them. 4. And then...
Oh, we are being that...
Science!
Silence! Yes.
1.5. Right. Now, if you would kindly be very careful, because that's really full, but get to Duncan, and then you can make yourself a cup of tea with what's left.
This is the most fun I've had in several hours.
Right. So
how strong do we want this? Is this like...
5 minutes. Like, builders would look at this in baskets.
Klingon tea already.
Yeah, it's basically full length.
Would you like me to set a timer, or are we not that
Sure.
fancy?
Do you want to set it? If you have one on your phone, if not, I'll hand you the timer.
I have one on my iPad. I don't. That's a lie.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
Here, just use this one.
When this goes off, you folks are going to hear it.
Yeah. Sorry if that's a little piercing, but that'll be our timer for the soak. You don't have to hold it, just leave it there. In fact, I'm going to very carefully transfer that probably to a plate so that if it splashes, it doesn't cause any issues.
Dunking with Lucas.
Dunking with Lucas. All right, bye-bye, T-Boy. We'll be right back. All right, he needs to sit there for 5 minutes. And then the third boil and dunk on our peels has finished. This is what they look like right now. They're not quite translucent, but a lot of the pith has come off. You can see that there is not much white on the underside of them anymore, and that's what we want. So now we got to make their syrup and get them boiling. So I have to pivot recipes and reread that one now. Okay, hold on. because I have 4 different recipes open for this.
T-Man. He's a T-boy man.
T-Man. He's a T-boy man. There we go.
Hello, Peter.
Oh no, here he goes again. So.
No, statement begins.
I know.
See, the thing is, if you go too far into that, you become Christian Bale's Batman. Like, where are they, Martin? You know.
Don't become Bane.
No.
We don't need John Bane. Okay, so 2 cups of sugar and 1 cup of water. Bring to a boil and whisk until the sugar dissolves. Drop in the peels and let them simmer until they're tender and translucent. So, fine, cool. I need to decant them while I make the syrup.
A sandwich set aflame inside the microwave. That is...
Ooh, that's a level of skill.
That is some arcane knowledge right there.
Tell them about the time you caramelized onions, honey.
I was hoping I wouldn't have to. We do a breakfast sandwich, which we talked about in one of the other streams, which is a pair of scrambled eggs.
These are just the containers I keep my sugar in because I'm that extra. Like,
she is that extra.
Like I moved from the US with these.
She did. It was great.
Okay.
Which is a couple of scrambled eggs and some spicy mayonnaise and occasionally bacon and a little bit of cheese. And the actual recipe calls for caramelized onions, and I've never made it with caramelized onions because of, well, how can I put this? About once every 10 years, I forget how microwaves work. And the first time this happened, I was staying with my sister, and I'd come in really, really late. And I hadn't eaten anything because I was at that point in my life where I was like, it's all right, I just need sleep, kind of. And I realized I was hungry. So I nuked a frozen shepherd's pie. And it was supposed to be ready in 2 minutes. Half an hour later, it was a 1/4 inch thick, solid, carbonized, welded to the bottom of the plate, and I went out for chips.
Wow.
Yeah, vowing to never ever do that again. Until about 8 months ago, when following a very simple you can caramelize onions in 30 seconds recipe, I managed to make the kitchen stink like tear gas.
Well, he was supposed to set the microwave for 6 minutes. He set it for 60. And about 16 minutes in, we started smelling the smoke, and we cut it off. So now I make the caramelized onions. It's just a little easier. We'll try it again sometime whenever you're ready.
We will.
Just,
I'm fucking. Give me side eye in the chat. Give me side eye on the internet.
Internet side eye. So I'm making the syrup back here. It's just 2 cups of sugar, 1 cup of water. I'm just going to whisk it together until it is a syrup and not sugar and water. And then we're going to dunk the peels back in there, turn the heat down medium-ish, and let them cook until they're done. And I'll prep where they're going to live.
Alistair, your onions.
It says I should cut these into strips, but I kind of like the chunky boys.
Keep them as the chunky boys.
I think I'm going to keep them as the chunky boys.
They're aesthetically pleasing.
They are aesthetically pleasing. This is just me being extra. Extra. This is the decoration for the extra cake.
Honey, there's nothing wrong with you being extra.
I'm extra. Exactly. Okay, so. Cool. That's almost syrup. And it says it's supposed to make a really tasty syrup that you don't do anything with after you candy the peel. So, I got iced tea. It'll be good.
And ice cream, that happens. Or perhaps a smoothie.
Smoothie? Make a smoothie. I wouldn't make a smoothie with lemon syrup. That sounds nasty. Maybe like in cocktails. Ooh, like a margarita made with lemon simple syrup. Okay, I'm totally going to do that. What tastes best on cake? That's the question. Everything. Okay,
see, told you.
That's the 5 minutes for the bitter tea soap.
You're going to be able to upend that.
No.
And it will just come out like a one-piece blancmange of jelly.
All right, I'm putting the peels back in the syrup, and at this point, I'm just going to keep an eye on them until they're cooked all the way through. I have no idea how long that's going to take, so do you want to reset another 5 minutes just to remind me to take a look at them? And then I should read about how they exit this procedure, so I have that prepped. Drain and cool the peels. Keep the syrup for other uses. It says put the remaining ½ cup of sugar in a bowl and then toss it with their fingers and then store them. So drain and cool. All right, what are we going to drain them on? I think just paper towels on a plate, do you think?
You want to clear this baking tray, maybe?
Uh,
Or, because I don't know, because you've got your stations pretty great.
I've placed my mise, pretty much. Okay, mise en place is French for everything in its place, which is what it's called when you do prep kitchen work ahead of time, like you chop everything and you peel everything, and I like to do that. So, yeah, I'll just take this.
White chocolate and peach tray bake. That sounds amazing.
Ooh, that sounds like a good combo. But they have to be like super ripe summery peaches. They can't be like hard, nasty peaches that claim they were peaches but aren't.
There's a really, really good Thug Kitchen recipe for grilled peaches and ice noodles.
Rice noodles, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is boiling too hard. I'm gonna turn it down. It's basically supposed to just simmer.
Hey, welcome aboard.
So, do you want to give everybody a recap?
So, here's what we're doing so far. Hi, I'm Alistair. I'm just off to one side.
Hi, I'm Marguerite.
Basically, we're making Marguerite's birthday cake, which is a 3-day process. And what we're starting with at the moment is boiling the lemons for the decoration of the eventual cake, plus generating a lemon simple syrup, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's kind of a side product.
In addition, one of the layers of this cake, because this cake is a veritable cathedral of confection, is a tea soak. And in order to build this tea soak, I am basically 3 feet away as I speak to you from what could only be described as the Godzilla of cups of tea. There are 16 bags in this thing. It fills a 550 milliliter measuring jug. I think it's acquiring language skills.
And I think I'm going to have to use a slotted spoon to get it out of here. You've tied these around really good, but now they're soaked is the problem.
Do you want to just sieve it into something else?
Oh, that's not a bad idea. I just trying to think about what I have that's big enough.
One of the big kitchen things. I work good. Did I mention that?
This bowl's got a... No, I don't want to use a bowl, though.
Use one of the vertical canisters. Use one of these guys. Perfect.
If it fits.
It'll fit.
Let's see if it fits.
We have a happy birthday, Marguerite.
Okay, this is 5 cups.
Would you like to use a funnel?
Ooh, that's a very good idea. Thank you. Wise.
Have my moments. Let me spot this for you as well.
This is like a physics game. Careful, that's gonna get hot.
I know, it's alright. I've seen Die Hard with a Vengeance like 5 times. This is basically one of the puzzles in it. I like my chances.
It's not gonna hold it on.
Yes, it is. It's gonna hold on.
You sure?
Yeah, it is.
You sure?
It really is. You're almost done. You've got about 1.5 inches before the neck even
Oh,
goes.
you have more faith than I do.
See?
Well done.
Trust the process.
Right, can you cut tea bags off
Give me
of
some
that?
scissors and I
in
will
the dishwasher.
yeet these out of the way.
Did you say yeet these out of the way?
Yes, I did.
Okay, don't throw them over my head. That's all
I'm
I
not.
ask. They're hot.
There will be
tea
no
bags.
British eating, where I carefully move it from one place to another and then tie up the top.
I'm sorry, I wasn't aware that there was specific British yeeting involved. So there we go. Okay, so we've not burned ourselves. We've decanted all of the hot tea for the bitter tea soak. The lemon peels are bubbling along. I gotta turn this down even more. They are strident. They like to boil. They are boily boys.
There is no eating of scissors, I promise.
No eating of scissors. No. I've got paper towels on a baking tray to take them when they're done.
This is washable and reusable when needed.
Yeah, brilliant. I'll just put it over here for now.
All right, careful with the touch hot.
I will need it when we come to measure out the bitter tea for the jelly. So we can do that now because we're going to move on to the bitter tea. So this is the bitter tea soak. I'm going to taste it.
You'll be able to see that.
Yeah. It's really hot, so I'm going to try not to burn myself.
It's a polite yeet. Use it as an inside voice. You're absolutely right.
Inside voice heat. Oh my god, that tastes like my childhood. So much. You want to taste some?
Yes. This is going to instantly give me a headache, isn't it?
Okay, that's my reminder to keep an eye on the peels.
Oh boy.
You alright?
Wow, that actually caused an involuntary neck spasm.
Really?
Yes.
It's pretty bitter, but that's the point, is you're making a super sweet cake and it's supposed to be contrast. So, alright.
This is not actually a childhood recipe. This is a recipe from a place called Momofuku Milk Bar in New York, which we almost went to on holiday. But then there was
Where's the cookbook? Did you put it back?
I put it back. But you know, there was the small matter of a global pandemic. So we decided to bring the cake to us.
Some of these are thicker than others. So the translucenty ones are getting there, but you're supposed to cook them till they're
Welsh cakes. Hell yes. Good job.
What are Welsh cakes? How are they not just scones with currants in them?
The Welsh.
Elaborate.
So they are closer in consistency to pancakes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Basically, picture a Venn diagram, which is Welsh, pancakes, scones, drop scones.
Welsh does not give me any baking characteristics. It gives me a nationality.
Yes, but that nationality informs the baking characteristics to expect.
All right, I'm gonna let this go because I'm just.
They are they're made on a hot plate.
You mean on like a griddle?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm
going to try to turn the camera a little bit more while we're chatting here so that you can see.
The best Welsh cakes I ever had were halfway up Mount Snowdon at a refuge hostel, which I'm not even making this up, right? In the early parts of the 20th century, so many people would go up and down Snowdon that...
That's the big hill.
It's the mountain, yes. And halfway up it, in very bad weather, you basically die unless you had somewhere to stay. So there were families who would run hostels, and it was literally like a kind of advanced scouting pub where, you know, halfway up the mountain you go, oh, this is rubbish, really want a cup of tea and a Welsh cake, and then you come around the corner and see this place and they'd be like, do you want one? We've just put a brew on. And you'd be like, yay, and stay overnight. Think of them as stationary lifeboats with more hot bread products, and you're basically that.
I'm going to take this one on faith.
You should.
Okay. Okay.
Mountain.
Okay. I'm from California, which is where the western edge of the Rocky Mountains are. We went to the Isle of Man together once, and we went to the mountain, and it's a hill. It's a big, giant hill. It's not a mountain.
I will now read.
We have different perceptions of geographic scale.
I will now use a diagram to demonstrate to you the landscape of the Isle of Man. Here is the shoreline. Here is disembarking from the boats. Here is the first road you get to. Here is the remainder of the island.
It goes. It's just a big lump. It's a big pointy lump. It's not even pointy.
It's pretty pointy. It's a little pointy.
There's a little train you can take up it too.
Pointless, yes.
Pointless. All right, I'm gonna check on the peels now. Some of these are becoming translucent-y. I don't think you can overcook these, so I'm gonna let them go for basically as long as it takes the thick boys to join them in translucency. And if they suck, oh well, we just won't use them. Science! Right, let's make the bitter tea soak. Okay.
What are we soaking the bitter tea in?
So the bitter tea soak is literally just this that's gonna get cold. And
so it's
what
like
you do
really
is,
intense iced tea.
Yeah, basically. So what you do is when you assemble the cake, you cut out like a layer of the cake, and then you put some of the liquid on it. It's kind of like how you soak ladyfingers in coffee for tiramisu,
or the Andalusian dry soups I was telling you about.
That involve bread.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, it's a liquid that you put the tea cake in, or you put on the tea cake before you do the other layers. But this liquid makes both that and the basis of the jelly that we're going to make next. So the first thing I need to do is I need to measure out the liquid that we need for the jelly. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of this will just go in the fridge. Well, cools to room temperature and then goes in the fridge. Don't put hot things in your refrigerator. Your refrigerator doesn't make things cold. It keeps things cold. So if you put hot things in a refrigerator, you just make everything in your refrigerator hot. You don't make it cold. It eventually resumes to the cooler temperature of the fridge. thus endeth the science lesson. So I'm going to decant some of this and then hang on to the rest of it for the jelly.
Just there's some discussion of mountains and geography in the chat, and Dr. Tater Tots says, I grew up in Indiana, so when I met my now partner, they kept roasting me by asking if our 9th floor office was the highest above sea level I'd ever been. I feel you. I truly do. There's a building in Leeds, which is the first big city that I have a conscious memory of going to, which I still look at and go full Samwise Gamgee. I was like, oh, sir, it's over 7 stories tall. Oh my, because
what was that accent?
Moving on.
Okay.
Because I'm
going to reread the recipe while he talks.
Because I went to university in York and lived there for a long period of time. And there's a law in York which says nothing can be taller than York Minster. So York Minster is this big kind of gothic battle star sitting in the middle of all these 3 or 4 story tall buildings. So I went to Leeds, looked at this 9-story thing, and was like, this is Batman lives here.
No, we went to Batman's house, remember?
We did. Batman's house.
So Batman's house is in Nottingham. It's called Woollerton Hall, and it's where all the Batman movies are filmed, and we used to live in Nottingham. And in the summer, they do movies where they like put a big inflatable screen out there, and you sit out there on the lawns and watch the movie, and they, of course, screen Batman, and then they have some guy in a costume up on the house behind you, and they put spotlights on him, and it's really cool. Weddings happen at Woollerton Hall all the time. You can get married at Batman's house, which is pretty awesome. All right.
The officiant is your say I do.
No. Okay, so this is the bitter tea jelly. It calls for 1 3/4 cups of sugar. How about this? I can weigh it after I put it in the pot, and that'll tell you how much it is. Oh, it doesn't like that. Let's try that. No, it doesn't like being off the ground. Or maybe the pot's too heavy. Alright, fine. I'll wait for another container first. Cool. Alright, so 1 3/4. This is a half, so...
Just continuing the conversation in the chat at the moment.
Do that.
A friend of a friend moved to Seattle in the middle of winter. Which is why...
Not wise.
3 months after they moved there, he literally pulled out of his drive, took a left turn, and rechristened Mount McKinley. We're allowed to swear, right?
Yeah, this should be okay.
And rechristened Mount McKinley forevermore as Mount... What the fuck's that? Because it was the first clear sky in like 90 days.
Do you mean Rainier?
I mean Rainier. Do I mean Rainier or do I mean McKinley? I can never remember.
This is about 390 grams of sugar, which is 1 3/4 cups according to this recipe. So it's supposed to all go in this pot, along with a 1/4 cup of the marguerite spice.
The precious.
Precious! I know it's awful, but I love it so much. It's the best part of summer as far as I'm concerned. So this is what it is. It's basically instant tea. Here, I'll make a cup of iced tea. Yay! Ugh. Where's the water? There's the water. Sure. Now Margaret's making instant tea on the street because that's what our day's like. This is fun. Okay, cool. So there's a glass of water. Where's the scoop?
Edinburgh weather is the only weather I have ever seen defeat Marguerite in single combat.
Oh! I can't show because of the way I have to hold it. Hopefully you can see that without closing down the laptop. That's all.
Yeah, they got it.
It's instant tea powder. And what you'll notice is it kind of sort of turns brown, and then there's all that sugary sludge on the bottom. So you have to stir it up because otherwise you can see math. So you have to be careful. All right. Oh, no, you don't. You don't have to be careful. I make big pictures of it like this and leave it in the fridge. And it turns out about that color because I really make it intense. Ta-da! So you stir it up. And it's instant tea powder and basically dried lemon juice and a whole lot of sugar. It's basically adult Kool-Aid. And I love it. And it's crappy. I love it. Oh, that's good. I'm just checking on the peels really quick. They are progressing towards translucency.
How are we doing?
Good. The peels are progressing towards translucency. It smells less lemony than I thought, but it tastes decently lemony. Right. Okay. So we're making the bitter tea soak. That's the sugar. That's the tea powder. It needs a half a teaspoon of pectin, but I gotta find the teaspoon measurements. I think they're in the dishwasher.
Yeah, I totally buy no one understanding number weather.
No, they are not in the dishwasher.
What are we looking for?
Here we go. Now I need the pectin packet.
I've seen that super recently.
It's around.
Is it hiding under the butter? It's not hiding under the butter.
Yeah. That's the almonds.
That's the cookies.
It's here somewhere. Where did I put it? It's the package of...
There's the stuff that looks like exciting cake on the front, but it's actually not, isn't it?
The little Ziploc-y thingy. Did you put it with the cake?
Very
form
likely. Very
and
likely.
acetate. You do that. And then, yeah, so basically you whisk this all together. You put in the bitter tea soak and some of the lemon juice we put together earlier. And then you bring it to a boil, and then you simmer it for 2 minutes, and then you take it off the heat and it solidifies.
Nope, it's not over.
No!
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. It's upside down. It's dark. We have dark kitchen counters. So. Come on. Fine. It says it needs a half teaspoon of this. And then it wants 3 cups of the soak, which is why making 2 1/4 cups of the soak was stupid, because it was never going to cover both. I think it's a typo in the recipe. Okay, so measuring spoons, no eyeballing it when it comes to baking. There we go. Half teaspoon pectin, and that's everything. All right, so that just needs to be whisked together. Here's a whisk. Woo! It kicks up all over the place. Fine. Okay, I'm just reading the recipe. In a heavy bottom saucepan, whisk together the sugar, pectin, tea powder until combined. Yep. Over high heat, whisk in 3 cups of the bitter tea soak and the lemon juice. And it wants 1 1/2 tablespoons of lemon juice.
Alrighty.
So I'm going to use this big guy and prep the liquid first. 1 1/2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Hope you can see this. Yes. What was that?
My apron apparently looked like a dress in that light, and it was glorious.
Oh, okay. It's a big apron.
It is.
I'm cool with that. 1 1/2 tablespoons. And then it wants 3 cups of the soak. So I'm going to pour this very carefully. It's not as hot anymore. I have all new appreciation for in cooking shows how they pour everything backwards so you can see on the camera. 1, 2, 3. Yep, and see, we've got about that much left, which is probably plenty to soak in 2 6-inch layers of cake. In fact, I don't even think I need this size of a container. I'll probably go down one. So,
Becky, I have absolutely nothing but sympathy. About 8 months ago, I did a set visit for a sitcom called Zapped, and I was only there for a couple of hours, and I've rarely sweated more in one location in my life. It was so freaking hot.
Ooh, those are really hot.
And this thing was a fantasy sitcom, so like you, everyone was under like 4 or 5 layers of clothing.
Yeah, and super spotlights as well. Okay, these are still going, but that's okay. They're getting there. It's just like the centers now, which aren't completely transparent. I can probably show you. Can you move your notebook so I don't get anything wet? Cool. So I'm going to show you what we're doing on the peels now. Some of the smaller
it's starting to break down a little bit.
Just don't want to drip on anything, are starting to become translucent. I know you probably can't see that really well. But then some of the thicker bits, the thicky boys, thick with 37 Cs, you see they still have, they're not translucent in the middle. So we're still going to let those go a while longer.
There is apparently a Magnus Archives Bake Off AU.
Too bad I don't have a Magnus Archives character, so I can win that.
And anyone have any links, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Thank you.
Right, so this now gets whisked together. So this is our sugar and tea and pectin.
Oh, Scott, that's going to suck.
This is the bitter tea and the lemon juice. And then you're supposed to bring it up to a full-on boil. So I'm going to do that over high heat.
Thanks, Trey.
On the stove. Ta-da! And then I need to think about how that's going to exit and what kind of pan we're going to cool it in. Because it's going to solidify and it has to cool overnight.
So we need something as close to the 6-inch diameter of the cake as possible. Or way past it so that we can have lots of margin for error.
I don't know if I think it's going to be too little liquid to cool in a sheet pan and just cut rounds like we will with the cake. I think it has to be cooled in a container and then like scooped.
Okay, so treating it like jam, basically.
Basically treating it like jam.
Okay, so which one does?
So I still think one of these guys is going to be the best way to do it, but I'm going to see if I have a slightly bigger one. Where's the stack? Yeah, here's the stack. I've got, these are full quarts, so that should be fine. These are half quarts. Okay, I'm just going to whisk this all together. I wonder what it tastes like. You want to try it?
Yeah. Wait, what am I trying?
This is the components of the tea jelly.
That tastes lovely and also very slightly medicinal.
It's not as bitter as I anticipated, which makes sense given as much sugar, but it's not as sweet. It tastes like a really intense tea, which is probably the intent.
Do you want to put an edge on that? Like add some more citrus or no?
No, I'm not. I'm going to do straight up with the recipe, and then if I ever undertake this monumental task again, we can get funky with it. So let this dissolve. I'm just going to keep an eye on it until it comes to a boil, because otherwise the pectin won't set. What was that?
This is getting jam.
Getting funky with it?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
It's the whole music. No.
Okay, nice try though. If you sing music that's in copyright, they'll shut down the stream.
Good thing you told me.
Yeah, exactly.
Hashtag lawyer.
Hashtag lawyer. Go Team Venture. Right.
Or something which resembles Team Venture, but for legal reasons is not.
But for legal reasons is not, exactly. It does not look like a lot of layers, but it was many. What's that? I'm curious what that is. Oh boy, we're talking about Elias deserving no rights. Cursed cat boy Elias. So, I heard Marguerite go, what was that? Just as I bashed my laptop against the door frame. I apologize. Don't bash your laptop against the door frame. Poor laptop. I'm sorry to hear that. Cool. So yeah, we're doing good. Once the lemon peel is out to dry, and the tea jelly has boiled and then is cooling, we just have to put together the lemon mascarpone, and that's it for the prep stage for today.
Day one.
For day one. How long have we been going?
Over now.
Really?
Yeah.
I hope everybody isn't bored.
Trust me, no one's bored.
Okay. This is kind of fun. It's like I'm talking out loud to myself while we're cooking, so.
Thanks for joining us on this
Yeah,
adventure, folks.
by all
We
means.
really appreciate it.
And then when we start this up again tomorrow, we'll show you kind of what became of everything, and we'll take it on from there.
But we're not done yet.
No, we're not done yet. Just keeping an eye on everything. Peel kind of is hovering between two temperature settings. That's the other reason I don't like induction cooktops, is you can't just fiddle with it a little bit. It's like up one or down one. It's
like the board.
It's digital.
It's assimilated or completely cold.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you. And the feeling is very much mutual. You are lovely, lovely people to spend time with on the internet cooking a ridiculous cake.
I am looking forward to this ridiculous cake though. I hope it's tasty. I mean, it's got so much sugar in it. How can it not be
It's
tasty?
going to be tasty.
Right? It may be a hot mess, but it'll be a tasty hot mess.
Worst thing that'll happen is it's cake jambalaya.
Cake jambalaya. It's actually really cool. Okay, so you bake the cake not in rounds.
Hey, O'Neill, how's it going?
But on a sheet like this, one of these quarter sheet pans. And then you flip it out and then you punch the cake and you need 3 layers, but you'll only get 2 rounds out of it. You assemble the bottom layer out of all the scraps. She says just throw them in there and push them down. Nobody will tell.
See, this is one of the many reasons.
Science! Cake science!
This is also one of the many reasons why Christina Tosi is a deeply fantastic chef.
She also gave us cereal milk ice cream.
And let's not forget, sweet corn cookies.
Sweet corn cookies. Okay, so this is boiling. Now, it needs to stay not at a full boil, but at a pretty hot level. I need 2 minutes on the timer.
Chloe!
2 minutes on the timer, please.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm dealing with boiling. Hello to the chat. Who's joined us?
Chloe!
Hi, Chloe! I'm making tea jam.
Hey, Chloe!
It's weird, but tasty. Ooh, that's boiling really hard. Okay, let's take it out of it. 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah. And what I'm doing is when it starts to boil over, I just pick it up off the heat and the bubbles die back down. Because otherwise it'll boil over and you will never give yourself as bad a burns as you will with hot boiling sugar. That looks like it's gonna behave.
Folks,
now.
just so you know, a very, very dear friend of ours, Chloe, is in the chat right now.
Hi, Chloe! Lots of
Chloe,
love, my dear!
Chloe is the mortal custodian of a possessed doll, and has worked many conventions with us and done much shenanigans with us. And also, we once rode in a cable car to the top of an owl.
What's the name of that story? There's one of the Magnus episodes about the gondolier.
Yes.
And the guy who jumps out of it into the passage. We've been in the thing! It's terrifying!
Chloe is jonesing to see the jelly. I'm right there with you, buddy. I'm
Almost.
right there with
How
you.
much is left on my 2 minutes?
Let's assume I'm starting it now.
So start it for a minute then.
Okay.
Great, cool.
Okay. Exciting times.
Exciting times, it'll be fine. I will do a full recap and show everybody where we are as soon as I have the boiling jelly off the stove.
Okay, we're underway.
Cool. We're not going to count down 60 seconds, are we? Don't sing the Jeopardy theme song because I'm singing it in my head. And if I sing it out loud,
I'm not singing the Jeopardy theme song. I'm singing the Sir Digby Chicken Caesar theme tune.
The what?
Sir Digby Chicken Caesar.
I don't want to know.
For copyright reasons, I will go no further.
Very well. Okay, there's a trivet because this is going to be really super hot. I'm going to chug my iced tea.
Countdown theme. Yeah, exactly. See, we're just going to be doing this for a couple of days. It's going to be great.
Time?
11 seconds.
Great.
10, 9.
You can count from 10.
5, 4.
7, 12.
Done.
Cool. All right. So let's see if I can show this to you without pouring boiling hot liquid
over me.
Hey. Right.
Okay.
Let me just do it this way.
Ladle.
Yeah. There we go. That's a good idea. So this is, as you can see, it's still ridiculously liquid. And it's got to cool in order to solidify. That's what pectin does, is you add it to a hot liquid, and then as the liquid cools, it solidifies. So for folks who are joining us, including Chloe, this is sugar, instant tea powder, and what's called a bitter tea soak, which is 16 Lipton tea bags in 5 cups of boiling hot water. And we've put pectin and the sugar in it, and now it's going to turn to jelly overnight, which is going to be one of the layers of the cake. And the rest of the soak here is literally going to get soaked into one of the layers of the cake. So this needs to be decanted so that it can start to cool. And then I will give an update on the lemon peels, which are still lemon boiling. Yeah, okay, cool. That's fine. It's a wooden spoon, it'll be fine. How am I gonna decant this? Very carefully.
With the ladle
I think
and the funnel.
the ladle and a funnel is the good way to go. I agree with you because I want to be careful.
By the way, I am much more sensible when someone else is cooking than when I'm cooking.
Yeah, well.
See also caramelized onions.
Yeah, exactly. If I just go really slowly and kind of decant it a little bit at a time until the pot is not so heavy that I can pour it, it should be all right. There we go. This is basically tea jelly. Or at least it will be tomorrow. I really hope it is tomorrow. But the recipe warns you. They're like, it's not going to look like anything. Don't worry. I'm just going to double check the recipe.
You're doing great. Don't worry.
Simmer for 2 minutes. We'll activate the pectin and will turn the tea and lemon into a jelly. Transfer it to a container and refrigerate. Once set, it will keep for 2
16
weeks.
Liptons is, having tasted it, is more like about 8 Tellies. It's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
But it's not quite, I only speak in binary now, hardcore.
So the recipe says, I'm not a frequent jelly maker, so I became very nervous when my jelly didn't become its beautiful jelly form in the pan. But once I put it in the fridge and let it cool, it came out just like she said. Be patient, don't freak out like I did the first time, and start spreading orange marmalade on the cake. So no, I'm not going to put orange marmalade on the cake. No. Orange marmalade on a lemon tea cake wouldn't work anyway. Okay, there's just a little bit of this left, so I think I can freestyle it. Bet the funnel is a good addition.
Check that F out.
Hold on.
No, we got this. We got this. It's fine. It's fine.
This is really full. Hang on.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Pot out of here.
Marmalade crash. David.
David.
He does
this all.
Much less than I used to. I'm right here.
Nonsense. Do it right all the time.
David.
I'm bored. Yeah, exactly. Whew. Look at how full that is. Just about to the top. So now it gets to go on the hot, full tea things cooling station. That's a lot of jelly. Wow. I'm fascinated by that. I'm fascinated. I can't wait to see how it turns out. Okay, so that burner is off. The lemon peels are still going. I should definitely have cut them into thinner strips, I think. Some of them are still not translucent. But, you know,
it's fine, dude.
Whatever. They'll just cook until they're done. I'm not in any hurry. In fact, I'm probably going to take a little bit of break and have some water and look at the chat.
The chat's having a Cardinal Fang break.
Oh, dear.
Cardinal Fang!
I wish I'd connected with Zilla for a little more. I do.
Season 2 is much more your speed.
Okay. Well, you know, in my copious spare time.
Season 2 gradually morphs into a pretty seriously anti-capitalist, also very funny sitcom.
Good. Cool. So I'm just going to put the rest of the... That's way too big of a container. I think it just needs a little teeny one. There's not much of the soap left, to be honest. Which is fine. And that's almost room temperature. So I'm just going to put a lid. Ooh, that one's cracked. Nope. That one's cracked. Oh, I need new lids.
Oh, Tree, don't worry. Ben mocks everybody. Remember? He mocks me. All the time.
Ben mocks you all the time? You want to say anything to Ben? Stop mocking you? No, because then you'd have to stop mocking him.
That's a good point. Very well made. No, Ben mocks everybody. It's fine.
So that's the soap cooling. That's the jelly, theoretically, cooling. It tastes good and it feels viscous, so here's hoping it actually turns into jelly.
There are no beefs here. There is no beef. No beefery.
No, let's not stop.
Nothing but love for the Meredith posse.
Add EA Podcast to the list of the Meredith Bros enemies. No, poor Ben and Tim don't have time for enemies.
Besides,
did you see that nonsense Tim came up with a couple days ago? Was it a couple days ago?
What, Flounce?
Flounce?
Which is playing out the newsletter next week.
Oh, God. Oh.
I'm going to the one place capitalism hasn't ruined. Space!
Oh, I love that guy. I love that guy so much. Fantastic. All right, so where are we? We've got the lemon peels taking
You're doing super great.
Taking their sweet time. The tea soak is made. The tea jelly is made.
Made.
Fingers crossed. So I just have to put together the mascarpone, but I need a bain-marie to do it. So let me wash off this pot.
Really? I thought this would just be whisk some lemon into some mascarpone and call it
It
good.
calls for eggs and cooking. And it says just cook it over very low heat. I'm like, no. No. Let's not do that. So I'm gonna soak this pot in some soapy water.
Thanks, Chloe. Chloe just said touching all the wood.
Thank you. I think it'll be okay. I'm just a bit concerned. I'm gonna transfer it to the table over here. It can keep Chungus company, and it can cool. It has to come down to room temperature before I'm gonna put it in the fridge anyway. So, please turn into jelly, because otherwise my cake's gonna be dry and missing a layer.
And I'm very glad you did, Silver.
What did Silver do?
Silver made Twitter specifically to bother Alistair with a bloopers fic.
And we appreciate you for it. Absolutely.
See, Zelia may have actually cut to the core of Magnus Archive's operational philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
The Merediths just have beef as a distraction to let Alex take over the world. And by Alex, we mean Hannah.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
You know,
Alex is not the one I would keep an eye on. Hannah's the one who's the secret evil genius. Alex is the very public-facing evil genius. I mean, how evil of a genius can you be if you see him coming? That's just the hot burner everybody does.
I would refer you to both the Pocket Square incident and Mr. Happy Hour.
Fair. But still, oh my gosh, that's
Oh, Zelia, you haven't revealed the full plan. It's alright. No one
one
knows the full plan.
Only Hannah knows the full plan, I'm sure. There. That was very noisy. No, see, that's the other thing I don't like about induction cooktops. I went to wipe it down and I turned on half the burners on the stove.
It's a distraction. And Alex is the distraction from the distraction.
It's a very complicated
I actually see
way
that.
to play it.
I do. Please do, Specky. I love that stamp so very, very much.
I'm going to fish some of the transparent ones out and let them start drying, I think.
Thanks, Jax. It's a weird kitchen. It's
What, our kitchen?
Yeah, it's really nicely laid out, but it has no natural light at all.
Yeah, it has no window, which I really find frustrating. It's a good space, which is important, and we like the island because we like to cook together a lot, and it means we can each take up like one side as a prep space. But I hate that there's no window in here.
Chloe has seen the recipe, so knows what lies ahead. We have many challenges.
Yeah. Once I finish here, I will put the recipe in the chat again if anybody needs it. Let me know, or maybe you can do that if you have it handy.
Specky has like a one-butt kitchen. Nothing wrong with a one-butt kitchen.
One-butt kitchen. No, kitchen is the most important room in the house, as far as I'm concerned.
We have a friend who just moved into a new place in Chicago, and he's very happy with the fact that he has a fold-away prep table in his kitchen.
I'm just fishing out the peels that I think are cooked enough, so that the ones that still need some space have a little bit more heat to work with. And I will come show you a couple of them. They look kind of like sea creatures. See? They look like little, when they're really sticky, but they're completely translucent. I'm gonna eat one now. I'm gonna go find a little tiny one and eat it.
Can I eat it?
Yeah, I'm gonna eat it. The syrup
Why are we whispering?
I don't know.
Okay.
It adds dramatic tension. Not that one. One different one. There's a little teeny tiny one. Come here, you. Come here. Come here. I'ma eat you. I put it on the paper towel first so that it doesn't burn me. Ow! It's clinging tenaciously to the spoon.
No!
I don't want to be the sacrificial victim! Yes, exactly. Okay. Alright, let's try it.
Well,
it's good, but it's in too big of pieces, I think.
so dry and chop them. Or rip them artisanally.
I think I'll just toss them in sugar, and then it's the thing you eat, not as part of the cake, but you pick the thing off the cake and eat it, and then you eat the cake. That'll be fine. I've learned something for next time. Next time I have to trim them a lot smaller. Ooh. Now the zing of it kind of comes through.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's sticky. It gets like stuck in your teeth like gummy candy. So not bad, but could be refined. That's for sure. We'll let them dry and then I'll toss them in sugar and hopefully they'll be a little better. But the rest of these thicker boys are definitely going to need some more time to cook through. Maybe if I turn up the heat a little bit. I mean, I'm just careful. I don't want to like boil them away. But they do seem to be taking their sweet time about it. She doesn't give an indication of how long this part's supposed to take, so. Oh well.
Jack says, I painted my cabinets last weekend and discovered the previous people who lived here had old bills discarded under drawers. Totally get that. The house I lived in New York, we did not decorate after we found the secret compartment in the bedroom in which one of the previous residents had kept the letters from their various lovers.
Could be worse.
Yes.
But wow, that sounds kind of freaky. I've heard about people who find porn stashes and things like that.
Yeah, this wasn't even very well done.
Alex has never planned any chaos only. Hello, John. Okay, read that one.
I don't know what you mean, everyone. Alex has never planned any chaos only. Hello, John. Apologies for the deception. I wanted to make sure you started reading, so I thought it best not to announce.
I love that meme. I'm having so much fun with that meme. I've got like 4 of them saved for shenanigans.
Fantastic.
It's fantastic. All right, let's take a look at the lemon mascarpone because that's the only.
God damn it! Not even Twitch is safe.
It gets stuck in my teeth.
It's its vengeance from hell's heart. It stabs at thee.
It sticks at thee.
From hell's heart. It lemons at thee.
It lemons at thee. In my wholesome EA podcast stream, TMA. Yes, it is the TMA Rickroll. That is the now. Well done. Okay, it has been the phrase has been coined. It is the TMA Rickroll. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to work it into more things now. Okay, I'm gonna read the lemon mascarpone recipe.
Yeah, because we have to boil the cheese basically.
No.
We have to heat the cheese.
Kind of.
Okay.
Let me read the recipe. So, first thing we have to do is we have to bloom the gelatin, and this uses 1 sheet of gelatin, or some of the powdered stuff, but I have a sheet of it, so I will go ahead and do that. Blooming gelatin basically means you just soak it in water. I'm just going to get a bowl. You're going to get to wash every dish in the house when we're done. This is great. Thank you, honey.
Boil the cheese.
Do not boil the cheese. I don't want to boil the cheese.
See, I just think I'm trying to failing to subjugate my instinct to do the really terrifying regional cheeseburger.
Yeah. So 1 sheet of gelatin. Ooh, it snapped. Don't come back. Come back. It's already getting good. And then you just soak it in water. That's all you have to do. And then it'll like swell up ginormously. Right, there's the gelatin. And then I want you to see, it says in a saucepan, whisk together the sugar, lemon juice, zest, and eggs, and then cook the mixture over low heat, whisking constantly. Will thicken as it comes to a simmer. Once it does, take the pan off the heat. So you basically have to cook it all together. And then I'm going to read the rest of this before I start. Whisk in the bloom gelatin, butter. Ooh, do we have butter out at room temperature?
Yeah,
yes,
we do.
excellent.
Yeah,
good. And salt, mix until everything is fully incorporated, shiny, and smooth. So it's basically making a lemon curd. It says you can do this in a blender if you like. Why? Transfer the lemon curd to a container and cool it in the fridge a few hours or overnight. So I am making lemon curd, basically. And then tomorrow, you mix the curd and the mascarpone. See? No cooked cheese. And it says it's important that both the cheese and the curd are cold or they won't come together properly.
So they'll split.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to have to make the curd. And I don't want to make curd in a saucepan. I want a bain-marie. But I don't think we have a metal bowl. Oh, I have a glass bowl. That'll work. I didn't want to use a plastic bowl. I don't want to make curd raw in a pan. Let's just ask him to burn it. So, all right. So, a bain-marie is a fancy French way of saying a double boiler. It's 2 inches of water or so at the bottom of a pot on a simmer. You can just boil the water from the kettle and dunk it in if you want to, but I got some time, so I'll let that come up. And then what you do is you put the bowl, I'll show you over here.
Visual aids.
Can you see okay? You put the bowl on top, and technically the heat from the steam very evenly cooks everything in the bowl so it doesn't get hot spots or burnt or overcooked, which is really important when you're working with things like eggs. So that's going to come up to heat, and I'm going to prep the rest of this.
Visual aids detected. Security. Preparing ingredients.
Security being a sous chef. That's too wordy. Okay, so sugar, lemon juice, lemon zest, and eggs. I don't want to put any more zest in this, I don't think. It says about 3 lemons, a third of a cup of juice, but we've got juice left over. I'm not going to put zest in it because she says in here that I found my lemon curd was a bit chunky with the zest, so I put it through a strainer and it was perfect. So I'm not going to put the zest in it.
Hello, John. Detected. Security alerted.
Oh, nice. That would make a good addition. I have a feeling that Imogen is going to get some new programming.
To which Jackson's responded with, no.
Bloom, gelatin, butter, and salt. So, salt. This is my salt shaker. So
Do the lid.
It has a little thingy on it. You can go like that, and you can go like, ta-da! Because I'm extra when it comes to cooking. So I'm going to prep the butter and the salt, and then I will put all the ingredients in. How much butter? 8 tablespoons. Oh, God! A tablespoon is 15 grams, so that's 120 grams of butter. Okay.
It's about half a stick.
I'm going to measure it. Does she say salted or unsalted? She just says cold. So let's go for salted.
Cooking butter or eating butter?
We'll use the cooking butter. I can always add more salt. There we go. 120 grams of butter. I'll just put that in a thing.
With some stuff.
Yeah, on the side. I'm going to cube it up because I think what you have to do is you have to cook the eggs and the sugar and then you whisk in the butter one at a time to make the curd. So I'm just going to assume that's right and prep it. How much is that? And I'm eating the cake, so I can use my thing.
The Magnus Archives is a podcast distributed by Russell Quill and licensed under Creative Commons Attribution.
121 grams
Nicely
by
done.
hand. Thank you.
4.0 International Hello, John.
Yeah.
We also have a question. Will you guys be streaming at the same time tomorrow or earlier?
I don't know yet. Is there a preference?
Yes. Would folks like us to stream earlier?
Is it easier to do it? Actually, I'm going to have to do it earlier because the cake has to be baked and fully cooled before I can assemble it. So we might do 2 parts because otherwise it's going to be a long stream while we're just sitting around waiting for the cake to cool. I'm going to put this in the fridge because it's getting soft. So I'm going to put this in here while I package up the rest of that. I wash my hands. I think it'll have to be earlier in the day. Or it'll have to be 2 parts. We'll do 1 part where I do the cake and the crunch and check in on everything we made today.
Johnny is streaming at 8 tomorrow.
Yeah. So,
I mean, do you want to do 6 to 8 and then we can rate them?
That's not a bad idea. We have a thing at 4 tomorrow, so that should be okay.
What's the thing at 4?
WorldCon programming.
Oh, yeah.
Registration. Tell people about Hugo voting.
Hugo voting, for those of you who are Hugo eligible, is now open.
Finally!
Which means I, as a finalist for Best Fan Writer, am eligible to be voted for. Likewise, Escape Pod, which is a finalist for Best Semi-Prosy. And
we also have one of the Escape Pod assistant editors, Riv Shavdas. They have a short story.
I didn't know Riv was up for something. Oh, that's amazing. Cool.
I think it's, I can't remember the name, something about I can't remember the name of the story off the top of my head. I have not finished my short story reading because that's an easy category. It's short and fast. So I do that last. It's the novels that take longer. Okay, that's still cooking away.
Night, Chloe. Thanks very much for stopping by.
Thanks, Chloe. We'll talk to you later. Bye. I think that's doing okay. Some of the peels are still just chunky ones. They're going to take a long time. But let me finish prepping the rest of that. So that's the butter ready. The salt's easy. The gelatin's blooming.
Blooming gelatin. Has it dissolved? Gelatin may have dissolved, folks.
Yeah, I think the gelatin didn't so much bloom as fell apart.
The gelatin is water now.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that one again. That's fine. Wow, okay. Bloom that heck of a lot closer to the time. Lesson learned. Yeah, it completely dissolved. That was fun. So next time we'll give it 2 minutes and then dunk it in. Fine. Half a cup of sugar, 1/3 of a cup of lemon juice, 4 eggs. Great, fine, cool. 1/3 of a cup of lemon juice, 1/3. Goes in together, right? Sugar, pectin, no, wrong recipe.
There are many F's in the chat for the gelatin.
Yeah, sorry. Sugar, lemon juice, and eggs, right? So 1/3 of this. Good job squeezing all those for me earlier.
That's all right.
Cup of sugar.
Squeeze things good.
Hey-o. That got away from me. He glaring at the top. No, that's just going to turn into what they go. Alistair, he squeezes things. No.
No.
No. I'm going to live a bit dangerously here.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many eggs? 4. All right, I need a little finger. That's a technical term. Where's the garbagey? Thank you. 4 eggs. Yes, crack them in another thing first. No, don't crack them on the side of the bowl. That's how you get shards and everything.
Shards.
1.
Oh, you're doing them one at a time.
Yeah.
An official fancy program.
Well, that way you can isolate them if something goes wrong or if you do get shot. You can fish it up before you put it in the big bowl. 3. Especially with free-range eggs, you can sometimes get specks in them. So 4.
I can crack an egg with one hand, but not precisely.
I mean, I can do it, but it's just fancy and dangerous, so I don't.
It's very cool.
That's too noisy. I'm out of space. Would you put that over there on the floor? Great, thank you. Okay, so for this, I'm going to have to do it over the heat. So you're not going to be able to see really well, which kind of sucks. But what I'm going to do is just whisk everything together so you can kind of see the color it starts at, which is really lemony and a very light color. And then it'll get thicker and start to almost cook. And then we'll add in, then we'll bloom the gelatin, and then we'll add in the butter, and we'll finish the coat. It does add salt, half a teaspoon. I wasn't expecting that. Cool. All right, so this part's boring, unfortunately. You just basically cook it over here.
Specky, or indeed anyone in the chat, if you could send us the Jürgen Leitner rant, I'm sure we could shenanigan schedule that.
Jürgen Leitner rants?
There are several requests in the chat for the Jürgen Leitner rant being used in shenanigans.
I don't know what that is.
Me neither, but I think we're about to find out.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. These are starting to get there. They're supposed to dry first, and then you toss them in sugar. So.
Thank you.
For what?
It's bad language and insulting Leitner like he deserves. What's the book? It's a Leitner. There's blood on it. That's Leitner too.
That was one of your favorite lines.
I got to chew that line so much. It was great. 0 to wall swears in no time. Good. That I have no capacity to keep a straight face when doing that, as you will have seen
many an occasion.
last night, for starters.
Like I said, this part's boring. You just have to
Just whisking.
basically keep it whisking, and all the steam underneath it is cooking it, and I just have to make sure it doesn't burn. More importantly, it doesn't curdle. I was right, because I was prepping my...
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. There's a lot of love for Peter as comedy monstrosity that he is.
Comedy monstrosity?
My phrase, not
okay.
The chat.
Alright.
I've received a Word document and I want to copy some words out of it into another one. Do I have to type them, or is there something you could work out for me?
Martin, I believe you're what's known as a millennial. Oh God.
I always feel like Peter's really excited to say a word over 4 syllables. Like, oh, this is fancy.
Peter is ultimately a man of simple pleasures, it must be said. Some of those involve yeeting people into interdimensional voids, but you know.
They're very peaceful interdimensional voids.
Who couldn't use a peaceful interdimensional void these days, really? I mean, if we're honest.
There's a reason I have the clouds up on Peter's Animal Crossing house.
Did we get you that cloud flooring as well? I think so.
Peter, it's not even a PDF, please.
Well, the lemon syrup is tasting really good. That's not really even hot yet.
Becky, I'm so glad that worked for you, because I was a little worried that going into that with no prep would mean it didn't work, and it actually meant it worked much better.
It would work really well with more voices, I think, because there's several main characters, not just Peter and John and Martin, but I think it's Michelle, and I don't remember the name of the new technician. Robin. But yeah, more voices needed.
Peter takes a photograph of the text document to turn it into a PDF to send it by mail. I know people who have done that.
My very first job in a law firm was back in the day before OCR technology was very well developed, and it was a similar internship working for a partner who had some vision problems.
Thank you.
And I had to scan and manually double check OCRing of all of his documents, and it was so brutally boring. And it was like insurance litigation documents. It was so boring.
Whereas my one brief foray into the legal profession was as a temp, as part of a team of 3 who had to scan and PDFize around 500.
PDFize?
It's a word now.
Okay.
500,000 pages of documents, which we then had to shred.
Digitization projects. So this is coming along. It's just going to be slow and boring. I have to wait until it thickens and cools. It cooks. Which takes a long time.
Yes, but was it a cool screenshot? I'll bet it was. Tree's saying about how they just did their homework in the Notes app and sent it to their teacher, and it's like, my 11-year-old self is terrified of me right now.
Oh, God. I know students who've had to, during lockdown, who've had to like compose essays on their phones because they just don't have access to tech.
We have a friend who's one of his 2 new books this year is out very soon, and he does a lot of work on his phone, simply because his partner, like Marguerite, is a lawyer and she travels an awful lot. And basically it's the most comfortable thing he can write on, so he just whips his phone out and gets 3,000 words done on a flight to Nevada.
Yeah, nice. Alright, these are, even the thicky boys here are almost done now in the peel, which is nice.
Thicky boys.
Thicky boys.
And boys to thicky.
Gotta have thicky boys. You're my thicky boy.
No, thank you.
Love you.
I love you too.
Cook, you stupid curd. it's getting there. It's increased in volume, which is a good sign. It's just slow and boring. It increases in volume. Yeah, like the tea jelly. Ooh, let's check on the tea jelly really, really quick.
Tree, could you send me the link to that so I can follow it?
Ah.
Tree has a cosplay account.
Oh, nice. Ooh, it still tastes good.
You're going to wake up in the middle of the night, go upstairs and go, it still tastes good, aren't you?
I may check on it in the middle of the night. Make sure my tea boy is doing okay.
Oh, no worries. We'll find it. We're on Instagram, or as Peter would say, the gram.
We're on the gram.
The gram.
Hashtag the gram. Hello, fellow kids.
Greetings, fellow teenagers.
Yes, exactly.
Do you like the band? I do.
I love that piece of art. Who was that? Theo? I can't remember who is responsible for that epic piece of art, but I loved it. I'm sorry, this is boring, folks.
This isn't boring.
Yeah, it is.
We've had an hour.
Making lemon curd over Ban Marie gets boring.
We've had an hour and 3/4 of kick-body, high-speed cooking action. This is the bit which we need to do to put us to bed, to set us right for tomorrow's throwing second installment.
Where we bring it all together.
Yes.
And we get to eat the ones of these we don't use. Show everybody what those
These are Fancy Boy cookies. They have a name. Doesn't really matter. They're Fancy Boy cookies. These, what we were instructed was, it is literally easier to buy a box of these and destroy them than try and cook them yourself.
Basically, it's the almond tea crunch layer involves ideally like broken up pieces of crepe because
La finesse de crêpe dentelle au chocolat, la lagrette de fine galette. I don't know why I'm Italian now. Bien, Dr. Comandise. I'm going to put this down. It has gone wrong. Italian.
Thank you. The recipe calls for those type of biscuits or broken up crepe because apparently combines with the fats involved in the rest of the layer and don't go soggy. But if you put them with milk or water, they go soggy. And they said literally you can't make these. Buy them or find a bakery that makes them. Okay, so we're starting to thicken here. This is good. See, it's getting much lighter in color. And it's starting to grow very quickly.
We do not have a TikTok because...
because TikTok is lousy at data protection. So I enjoy TikTok, but no, I am not okay with how to register for one of those accounts.
There's some discussion of TikTok. Oh no, sorry. Speculative. Oh no, I meant Tree, sorry. No worries. I tremendously enjoy TikTok content.
Oh, that's getting too hot, and I gotta be paying attention to that. So I'm gonna turn that off. This, oh yeah, okay. See?
From here I can see that gluten.
It's getting thick.
It's a technical term, folks. Gluten, no G. That's how you know it's chef talk.
I gotta pay attention to this. Is that clear? Good.
You have a landing spot.
I have a landing spot.
So this is basically sweet mayonnaise, isn't it?
Ooh, I've never heard it described as sweet mayonnaise, but the concept's the same. It's a fat emulsion.
It is, yeah.
Can you get me the butter out of the fridge, please? Because we are... Ooh!
Oh, you're right.
That's much hotter than I think. Okay.
Butter out of the fridge.
Yep, there's the cubed little stuff. Okay. I need that.
Clear.
Right, so now the goal is to get the butter incorporated into this without breaking it. So you do that by whisking it in one teeny tiny piece at a time. Bloom the other piece of gelatin, please. Yeah, one more leaf. And give him a minute and then we'll dig it out. So now what I'm going to do, there we go, now you can see, is I'm going to put in one piece of butter at a time. And keep whisking it constantly so that we don't lose any of that air.
Can we just set up the Yoja blender?
No, I'm going to do it by hand. It's fine. I just need to use a towel to hold the edge of this. Can you measure me out a half teaspoon of salt?
Half teaspoon of salt.
And dump that in. This is most similar to a hollandaise. But a hollandaise doesn't have sugar in it.
And you just want it dropped in, yeah?
Yep. Oh, my arm's getting tired.
Three, one, two, three, in.
A teaspoon of salt. Check the gelatin.
25 seconds before the gelatin's had its minute.
Great, thank you. This is looking good. There's plenty of residual heat to slowly melt the butter.
8 seconds.
Great. This is a good way to get your arm workout for the day.
3, 2,
Just
1.
test them. Yes, perfect. Show the chat.
See, this is what the gelatin should look like.
It shouldn't disintegrate. Now squeeze out as much of the water as you can and dump it in here.
And we're in.
Yep. He'll dissolve in.
Do you want me just to keep feeding you butter cubes or not?
I can do that by hand, yeah, I'm good. I'm just double checking the recipe. Fully incorporated, shiny, and smooth. Well, about halfway done. It's okay. It'll be fine. It's been a long time since I made hollandaise, but I saw it on hand, so.
Feel the burn.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting my upper arm workout for the day, that's for sure.
This is how Tifa gets it.
Ugh, man, I wish I would kill for Tifa's arms. Kill. Or lift lots of heavy things. Put them back down again. Cool.
This is looking really good.
Yeah, it does. If I had there's a clean teaspoon there. You want to taste it? It's going to be hot. Be careful. It's not quite done yet, so it may taste a little eggy still.
Oh, hell yes.
It actually calls for putting some lemon extract in there, and I'm like,
That
why?
is super lemony.
Great. Can I have a little taste? Oh my god, that's really good. Nice. Ugh. I can probably slow down a little bit, to be honest, now that it's starting to cool.
Because this isn't like a rescuable situation, is it? It's
No, if
it splits,
it splits and breaks, you can sometimes there are tricks you can use to try and get it back together.
See, I am an enemy of butter. I often, when I defrost butter, defrost it to death.
Yeah, or you use the microwave, and there's nothing wrong with using the microwave to soften butter, but if you melt it, it gets all nasty and grainy.
But if you then dump it in an ice bath and stir the hell out of it, a lot of the time you can get it to recombine.
Speaking of which, okay, almost done. 3 more pieces to go. And by then, ooh, gosh, well, now the towel's wearing some. Oh, the bowl's not so hot that I can't grab the towel. That's nice. Almost done. This is going to make a lot of mascarpone. This is the curd, and then you add the mascarpone cheese to it because you know lemon curd by itself is not decadent enough, apparently.
Oh, I completely forgot. We're dumping a literal bucket of cheese in there.
Yeah, and then you're gonna dump. It says half a cup of cold mascarpone cheese, then gets whisked together with this. You know, for extra. Almost done. Last one. Yay!
Team of victory!
But no, I'm glad I did it over the double boiler because trying to cook it in the pan, it goes from nothing to everything too fast and you can't pull it back is the problem. And I like to keep all that air in it if I can pull it off. Come on. Finish strong.
Great. We're doing great.
We're almost there. Good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to...
You know what this needs? This needs some boiled cheese.
No, I don't want any boiled cheese in this. So what I'm going to do is just scrape it down. And it says transfer it to a container in the fridge.
One of my food heroes is this guy called George Moss. George is a local burger historian in the US. And George has made a career out of basically tracking how the burger has evolved across America. And there are extraordinary variations, just stuff you wouldn't believe, like poached burgers and burgers which are actually tortillas and all this kind of thing. And the pride and joy of his collection is this thing which is essentially a burger torture rack, where what you do is cook the meat in this little metal drawer over a steamer. And in the metal drawer next to it, you cook 3 to 5 times the amount of cheese you would expect. and by cook, I mean render it into molten paste. And then you scrape these 2 trays out like some hellish automata, put them on a bun and eat them. And he loves this thing. And I just look at it and go, that is Stephen King's burger.
Stephen King said hamburger. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the lemon peels are out, and the lemon syrup, I've got to get it out of this pot before. Ooh, do we have any squeeze bottles?
Yes,
we do. Excellent.
Because we are temporarily out of happy sauce, and that's a good thing.
And a clean funnel. No, it was because I poured squeeze bottles because we have a lot of them. I'm going to get the lemon syrup out.
Do you need a spot for this? Are you good? I have room here. Use me.
Keep an eye on that.
All right.
I think this will be okay. The pot has an indent and we're using a funnel. I don't think we'll be able to save all of the syrup.
I think we'll get most of it. There we go.
But that's plenty. There's still about half of that left in the pot, but that's okay.
Do you want to just transfer the rest of that over and freeze it? Would it freeze?
I don't know.
Shall we find out?
Put that on very carefully. That's really hot, so hold it from the top.
Yeah.
Don't put the lid on it because it's got to vent.
It will turn into a bomb.
Yeah.
Yep.
Put it over there with the rest of the stuff that needs to cool. In fact, why don't I do that? Okay.
I could have done that.
I know. I trust you.
Okay.
Now, the last thing I want to do before I put the mascarpone in the fridge, the lemon curd in the fridge, because I'm going to put it in a smaller bowl, I'm also going to strain it just in case there are any nasty bits of cooked egg in it that I can't see.
Oh, cheese raclette the Swiss way. Suspend half a cheese below a heating element to melt the top layer. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
We have had fondue in Gruyere in Switzerland.
It made us go Gruyere.
Gruyere. Exactly.
Also, there is a cheese sandwich at Borough Market in London, which is
raclette, yeah.
And which is the only food that has ever... Watch yourself, you're right.
Yes.
You need an extra set of hands.
I need you to hold that. Yes, perfect. Well done. Okay.
It is the only sandwich that has ever made me tap out.
Yeah, see, there's a little bit of unmelted butter in there.
It was absolutely delicious, and it took the pair of us a full day to eat most of it.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting the lemon curd through this sieve in case there's any bits of unmelted butter.
And there are a couple.
Or like hard cooked corners of egg or anything, so that it's nice and smooth, and I catch any of that stuff out. And that's what it looks like. You just literally put it in one of these sieve thingies and smush it through. Smush is a technical term.
It's like glooping.
Glooping, exactly.
That's glooping.
Hold that corner again because this bowl's just a little wider than this. I really should have a bigger one of these, but when you get bigger one of them's, they get one of them's. Woo, grammar. They get really expensive. So I just have the little tiny one. That's usually enough.
Smoosh is the most technical term.
Smoosh is a very technical term. I mean, and with all those Oreos, we haven't made Oreo mug cake yet.
I know, right?
I think that will have to happen at some point. Makes this horrible squishy noise. I'd love to do a cooking AMSR at some point. That sounds fun. Make weird cooking noises. Almost done. Okay.
No curd left behind.
Well, I do believe someone said something about licking the bowl. Chef's assistant privileges. In my house, anybody who volunteered to help my mom cook got to lick the batters. That was the compensation. Do this on camera. At least let people watch you make a fool of yourself. Don't stick your face in it. Please don't stick your face in it.
I won't now. Spoil the surprise.
Okay.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
It's awful, isn't it? Terrible. I'm just going to have to sacrifice myself and eat all of this all by myself. Almost done. I'm glad I did this though, because there's a bunch of little tiny, like, let me finish this.
Oh, Tree, I'm so sorry you got a cold.
Ugh, that sounds awful. It's a scary time to have a cold too,
Yeah, it is.
because it leads one to doubt. But as you might be able to see, there's some little leftover white specks in there. That's just overcooked or curdled bits of the egg,
So it almost scrambles, basically.
Well, no, if you do it wrong, it will scramble. That's the problem. So that's why I push it through a sieve, so that I can get any of those little bits.
It's a lot of curd.
It is. It's too big of a bowl. I'm not going to do the thing where you push a piece of plastic wrap down on top of it, because this bowl has a lid. So when it comes down to room temperature, and I'm ready, oh my God, that's good. And I'm ready to put it in the fridge, I'll just put the lid on it. Good lid on. Okay. And let me find the lid while I'm thinking about it.
I think Oreo mung cake could probably work.
Like mung beans?
Yes.
I love mung bean paste. Oreo mung bean.
Also, hey Trish.
That's a weird combo, but I think it could work. Right, so there's the lid for that, but I'm not going to put it on yet because it's still just a bit hot. I'm going to put it over here.
Cheese needs to happen.
Nope, not today.
Really?
It has to refrigerate overnight. Remember, the curd
okay.
has to be cold before you mix the mascarpone into it. So I think the only thing that's left now, that's the bitter tea soak.
Yeah.
We're done with the blooming water for that. F4 is the poor dead sheet of gelatin. That's the bitter tea soak. That's the bitter tea jelly, which I'll go check. That's the lemon curd, which has to cool overnight, which will be the mascarpone tomorrow. And the peels just need to be tossed in sugar and put in a container. But I'm going to go check the tea jelly first and see if it's cooling. Please be jelly. Please. I don't know. It still looks pretty liquid to me, but it also still feels really warm. But it's moving in that funky sort of all at once way. So I'm just going to let it go. And, oh God, that's hot. Whew. And we have lemon syrup left over too. So now we just got to toss the Tupperware on the floor. Okay, that was fun. I need some more sugar because that jar is empty. Would you grab something from the overflow box?
So what you're saying is you would like me to give you some sugar?
Honey, honey, dun, 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 dun. Yeah,
I love being me.
I'm glad. I'm glad you love baby.
You want the stuff in the overflow?
Yeah, I need just regular sugar. You want to refill the jar? Cool. And then what we're going to do is put some of that sugar just in a container and toss the peels in it.
Yes, look, I'm against.
In your shorts.
In my shorts.
We need to wash your apron too. Here. Don't make a mess. Now you're like dramatically refilling a sugar jar. Can I have some of that, please? Just
so you're saying you want me to give you some more sugar?
Shut. Come on, wise guy. No, just like a hunk. That's good.
I was in the moment. Do you want ants? Because this is how we get ants.
No, we'll clean it. I just couldn't resist. Yes, I'm a brat. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I was giving you some. I'll stop now.
No, you won't.
No, I won't. I'm
no,
lying.
You won't. He'll be doing that at midnight before we go to bed. He'll still be saying it. So here's all the candy peels that have been on paper towels, and they're still really sticky, but they're kind of dry.
Oh. That was exciting.
That was a good save, and then we'll be vacuuming the entire kitchen when we're done. So all I'm going to do is put them in this container with sugar in it, so that it's like you put cornstarch on marshmallows. It's to keep them from sticking to each other. So that's it. I'm going to layer these in here and then shake them around. Dun 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 dun. It's stuck in my head now. It's your fault. Oh.
Bye, Cesium. Have a good night.
Have a good night, folks who are leaving. I know it's getting late. We're almost done. And then tomorrow, you're right, though. I'm going to use a spoon to do this. I have to cook the cake earlier in the day so it can cool.
Do you want to do 6 to 8? Just that way we can afford people to Johnny.
Well, the thing is, if I start to make the cakes at 6, they'll take half an hour to bake and more than that to cool. So I think I'm going to have to cook the cake early in the day, and then we can do something.
Stream twice tomorrow.
I think we might have to if we're going to do the whole thing. And
I'm
then
down.
6 to 8 can be the assembly.
We are absolutely going to do another stream to finish the cake tomorrow. Purple Almonds, don't worry.
Yeah, exactly.
Double Stream, which has to be the title of the first Twitch action movie.
Double Stream, really?
Not Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman.
Not multi-stream?
Because it's like double stream.
You're making a pun. That was funny.
Hey.
Irony detected. Security alerted.
I feel like maneuvered.
Me? Oh no, I'm just making candy. La la la. I'm just tossing it in sugar so that they stop sticking to everything. What?
Johnny Big Streams doesn't need us. I'll be here for cake.
You can multi-stream. It's fine. Or we'll try to do 6 to 8 and then we can raid on over into him. I'm fine with that. We can shame Johnny with our raid. With our tiny cake raid. That can be the magic phrase. Tiny cake raid. I've never done these before. These are great.
They seem to be going very
well.
well.
They're one of my favorite candies. So I figured learning how to make them might be a useful / dangerous technology.
So I put it to you then that it's now a good time to take this basic technique which you have learned and use it to create next time your favorite candy.
Oh, chocolate covered candied orange peel.
Yes.
Well, 1, these are lemons, not oranges. And
I am aware.
2, I intend to use these for the cake. But 3, in the future, yes. I would probably try a proper glacé technique. That was so lawyery.
That was the most lawyery version of yes I've
but
ever
no,
heard.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I'd probably try a proper glacé technique, which is where the way I've always seen it done is, you know how we boiled this in 2 cups of sugar to 1 cup of water? The way I've seen it done is you start with boiling it in 1 cup of sugar to 1 cup of water. And then the next day you let it dry. And then you boil it in 1.5 cups of sugar and 1 cup of water. And then you step it up to 2. And then you put them in a food dehydrator until they dry completely.
Do we need a food dehydrator?
Oh, I'm trying really hard not to buy a food dehydrator because it's a unitasker. It only does one thing. It only dries food. And technically so will your oven.
Will you not use it to smoke things as well?
No. Now you could dry smoked things, but if you were to smoke things, all you need is a cardboard box and a towel. That's
an outdoor space.
And yes, which we lack. So, okay, so all I'm doing now is just
seize the means of podcast production.
All I'm doing is stirring these around in the sugar to make sure all of the sticky surface is completely coated in sugar. Woohoo!
Jax has requested a Chungus update.
So, shall we see how Chungus is doing now? Oh, we should do like a time mark on him next time. We'll show you. This is how Chungus was before, and this is how Chungus is now.
Observe the fancy lad.
See? He's Chunko. And then in the morning, he'll have shrunk back down to the level of the label, and there'll be a little bit of residue where he's risen in the day, which is normal. Now, it takes about 7 days to get a sourdough starter started.
That is a really interesting question. Haven has said, can you put the lid on the box and shake it? Because that sounds really fun.
Oh,
or are they kind of fragile?
I think now that they're coated, I can. And you're right. That sounds fun.
Yes, Purple. Chungus is our sourdough starter.
So... yeah, that works fine. And they're not sticking to anything anymore.
And they're not breaking up at all,
And they're not breaking up because they've been coated once
already. Good job, Haven. Thank you for that.
Excellent suggestion. So, yeah, I think those are done. I'll probably store them with the lid off overnight just so they can finish drying and cooling. But from now on, they could be stored airtight. But they gotta last that long. So, I don't think we have to worry about long-term storage.
I love how you get both southern and conspiratorial at times like that.
How y'all doing?
They ain't gonna last that long.
They ain't gonna last that long. Well, it's true. Right. I think, other than a truly epic quantity of cleaning that's now going to follow.
Hello.
Well, no, it's only 10 o'clock. We can run a load in the dishwasher and deal with most of this.
We'll be fine.
We tend to follow the Dalai Lama's advice to approach love and cooking with reckless abandon, as you can see by the state of the kitchen now. I mean, I've mostly kept it contained, but not quite every pot and pan in the house is dirty. There's still some clean tasting spoons. That's an improvement, but it's because I bought more. And there's some lemon juice left, but I won't save that. So tomorrow, I'm going to bake the cake itself. And like I said, it's going to be on something this size. And then it'll have to cool completely. And then we'll start probably the 6 p.m. assembly with making the almond crunch. And then we'll punch out the cake and we'll assemble the cake. And then it has to go in the freezer overnight. So we should be able to pull that off. We can put the mascarpone in the lemon curd, punch the cake, build the crunch, and assemble the layers. We can do that in 2 hours, no problem. That should be fine.
We'll be fine with those.
But I'll probably have to do another stream in the morning, which is just baking the cake, because it has to have a good long period of time to clean to. Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, let's refresh everybody. You want to grab the punch?
Yes, of course.
Right. So the way Christina Tosi makes cakes is she bakes them on sheet pans as opposed to baking them in rounds. And then what she uses is called a cake ring, and she will punch out the layers of the cake that she wants to make. And so to do this, we have bought a cake ring. This one is variable in that you can adjust the width of it. There's some, you can see there's, let's see how I can show you this. Yeah, you see that little lip there? Hold on.
That flange.
There, that's a little better. There is a little lip here where you can increase the size of the ring.
It is a cookie cutter but large.
It is a large variable cookie cutter, exactly. So what you'll do, what we're going to do tomorrow, is bake the cake and then cut the layers of the cake. Now this is almost. This is a 3-layer cake, but you'll only be able to get 2 of this size. But what she does is she takes all the scraps from the rest of the cake and presses it inside the ring on the bottom layer, and nobody can tell the difference. She just mushes it all together, so there's nothing wasted, and you get 3 layers out of. This is a quarter sheet pan, which we'll be using. And then when we assemble the cake, we use the ring again like this on the sheet. And what we do is we line it in this, which is called baking acetate. It's clear. I haven't opened it. I'll show you tomorrow. You basically put a circle of this around the inside. It's like when you buy stuff at a cake at a deli that's wrapped into an individual slice. That's what this stuff is. And then you assemble the cake in the layers up against the acetate, which is obviously taller than the ring itself is. And then you store it in the freezer overnight so it solidifies together. And then you defrost it in the fridge on the day you're going to eat it. And then you decorate it. And you put it in your face. So that is the extra level that we are going to for this cake.
So what we've done tonight is the tea soak.
Yeah, so tonight we've done the prep work. We made the bitter tea soak, which will soak into the layers of the cake, much like almond ladyfinger soak in coffee and tiramisu. This is soaking in bitter tea. The rest of that bitter tea we've made into a jelly, which will hopefully solidify overnight, which will be one of the layers. We've made the lemon curd, which will cool overnight and be whipped with mascarpone cheese tomorrow, which will be one of the filling layers.
And your birthday is on the 11th.
My birthday is on Saturday, the 11th, right? So this is a 3-day cake. And then tomorrow we'll make the almond crunch, which is a combination of
crepe dentelle.
These little tiny, fancy, basically broken pieces of crepe, cookies, almond butter, and toasted almonds and some melted butter. So it's a kind of sandy textural element in the cake to contrast with the smooth curd and the clear tea jelly. And then we'll stack it all up in layers and stick it in the freezer. And then on Saturday, we'll unwrap it and we'll put the candied peel that we made tonight on top for decoration. And then we'll eat it.
We will put the recipe on Twitter across the course of the next couple of days.
Yeah, I'll do I can do a follow-up on this with the recipe that I'm using and the candy peel recipe that I'm using. And I think that's everything. That's it. Now I have to go do a lot of dishes.
And why? You have to do a lot of dishes.
We
have to do a lot of dishes.
Cutie, thank you for helping. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, folks.
We will see you tomorrow morning when I'll bake the cake. Don't worry about it if you can't catch it. It'll be on the VOD. And then let's do 6 o'clock tomorrow night. That sounds good for the assembly. And then maybe we'll just hang out till 8 o'clock and then go right on over to Donnie. Why not? And then Saturday, I don't know. I'll let you know when I'm going to eat cake. It will not be before noon.
No.
But then we'll decorate it and we'll eat the cake.
Awesome. Thanks, folks.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
We'll see some of you tomorrow. And if not, our normal streams are Sunday morning.
Yep.
We're gonna tackle the end boss of Concrete Genie.
And this time we will win.
Hopefully. And then next Wednesday is Alistair's standard bedtime story. We're going to do the addendums to Search and Rescue. And we'll have some options for the chat about which stories they might want us to read next. And then Alistair will be streaming on Rusty Quill on Sunday, July 26th at 8 p.m. It'll be a bedtime story with his all-time favorite horror story.
Yes.
And a extra special shenanigan that we have planned. And that's it. Enjoy the VODs. Have a great night. And we'll see you later. Bye. Push the button, Marguerite.